in my senior year of high school, one of my classmates approached me and others and said that he joined the National Guard, and it was fun. We ought to come and join them too. They met on Monday nights, and they were learning close order drill, and there was a lot of camaraderie, and we were going to go to camp in the summer. Well, this played right into my patriotic feelings about the United States and the world. So down there I went. I was amazed after I joined that my father said, "Oh, you're going to expose yourself to the risk of getting shot." I've never been able to understand why he didn't mention that before I signed the papers, because I wasn't making a secret of my intentions. But at any rate, when we went to the rifle range as a unit of National Guardsmen and started practicing on targets up to 500 yards away, I was a crack shot, and the NCOs, sergeants and so forth, said, "Wow, you're really a good shot. You'd make a good sniper." And I can remember visioning myself climbing up a banana palm, getting up there on high and seeing a bad guy 100 or 200 yards away and shooting him just like I did squirrels. It didn't occur to me until years later that they shoot back. So when I went to, I enjoyed the National Guard. They put me on the rifle team when we went to guard camp that summer, and I was one of the best shots of all of the guys there. And I was on the Governor's Cup rifle team, mind you. So when I went to college, I wanted to learn to be a pilot and protect our country against the kind of tyranny that we were fighting against when I was a 6-year-old, to defeat Hitler and his desire to dominate the entire world and suppress us all into fear. So I went and signed up for Air ROTC. Well, things went pretty well there, other than a bit of a clash I had with our main instructor, who was not very smart. But I got through that okay. But then at the end of the year, they came and measured our height, and they found that I have the sitting height of a man 6'8". And they said, "You cannot get in a jet plane. You would break your neck if you had to eject. You'd break your neck on the inside of the canopy." So my flying dreams were over. But I'd had the vision of flying over a country and protecting the people in it. It didn't occur to me the feeling I'd had when they told me that we had dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and ended the Second World War. It occurred to me just an amorphous thing of I would be flying over these countries and protecting their and our freedoms. Why I didn't think about the 70,000 people who were killed in Hiroshima and the 40,000 people who were killed in Nagasaki in an instant. I did feel a wave of grief when my mother told me about these bombs. But when I was signing up for ROTC, I didn't think about that. I was going to protect our sacred values, and I wasn't thinking about killing people. But that sort of ended my interest in ROTC when they told me I couldn't be a pilot. So before the year was up, I went and signed up for Marine Corps training. And under that program, you'd go to Camp Quantico upon graduation from college and train for a couple of months, and then you'd be a Marine second lieutenant. And so I still was enjoying marching and the patriotic feeling that I was going to protect our country. Well, my Marine Corps ambitions ended when I got married. The Marines were not interested in somebody who had a wife and a little child at that point. So they sent me a telegram and said, "We're dropping you out of the Marine Officers Training Program." So after that, uh, that was in '59. In '61, 2 years later, Judy and I went to work on a lookout, and we read all summer, both of us, one book after another. And I read The Red Badge of Courage and several other pieces that talked about battles and being wounded and running out into the woods bleeding and being alone and being afraid and probably dying. And in the months preceding that, well, actually 2 years preceding that, 1 year preceding that, our baby Tunis had died around the 4th of July. And then the following April, my grandfather died, who was the first adult male who really accepted me and nurtured me, and I loved him deeply. And then right after that, my sister had her second child, who had erythroblastosis and died in the hospital. So I suffered the loss of 3 people who were very dear to me, all in a very short period of time, just before we went up on the lookout. And I read these books about people suffering and dying. Admittedly, it was mostly from the point of view of the soldier, not of the civilians and soldiers on the other side that were dying, but I did come down from there with a profound realization that they shoot back. Then I went to my last year of college. I was required to take one more quarter of ROTC. Quite how they sandwiched that bogus thing into my curriculum, I don't know, but I went and dutifully signed up, and I went to the classes. One fine day, I by then decided that I was not wanting to be a soldier. But by then, these 2 sergeants put on a training film for us one day and then went out to smoke while we sat there and watched it. And it was showing attacking bunkers and defending bunkers. And the bad guys had helmets that were suggestive of the shape of the Nazi helmets in World War II. And so you could tell who the good guys and who the bad guys were. And 2/3 of the way through the film, I stood up in the middle of the class without any planning and said, "Do you see what they're exposing us to? Do you see what they're training us?" Not one of the good guys got wounded in either side, whether they were attacking or defending. Only the bad guys just got mowed down, and the Americans were totally without any injury. Can you see what they're, I didn't say brainwashing us into, but I used words right at that threshold. I've thought many times later, I wonder what would have happened if somebody had snitched to one of those instructors, but nobody did. My classmates just sat there passive when I did that. But later, I was an ardent protester against the war in Vietnam, against the killing not only of our people, but also the people we were slaughtering in villages in Vietnam. And I jeopardized and was willing to sacrifice 2 years of my life that I had dedicated to getting a master's degree in social work, because our social work program was still in the still in the process of becoming fully accredited. And here we were striking. We shut the college down for 7 months, and it would have been not at all surprising if the National Social Work Education people had said, "No way, we're going to accredit that degree in social work." And I would have had 2 years of my life, so to speak, up the chimney. But I was very eager to incur that sacrifice if necessary. I watched my friend Joe Campbell come out onto the campus when they had the daily demonstrations to keep the college closed. He came out there with an ambulance, and the cops would come out and grab protesters and throw them in the back of a paddy wagon, and after they clang, they'd shut the door, and boom, I'd hear them hit the student demonstrator inside that windowless paddy wagon. They didn't get me. I was a graduate student, so I kind of stood back a little bit, but the undergrads were right out there in the middle of the melee, and they were getting their heads busted. So, of course, then Joe and Pat lived with us several months while their first child, Eartha, was born and brought home to our house. And he was actively contemplating going to Canada to keep the pledge he'd made in medical school. The 200 Stanford medical students had promised they would not go to Vietnam. And he was prepared to go to Canada. He finally negotiated his way into a public health service job on the Indian reservation to satisfy the draft board. It's funny, when I was getting ready to do this, I had a gaffe. Instead of thinking of draft board, I was thinking parole board. Not too much difference, I guess. Military, no.